What's going on, everyone? Tyler here from Rectify Gaming alongside Fredo, or as we know, FXH Mantis, with episode 7 of the Rectify Roundtable. We have a little different show to you today. We have an interview in our episode. But first, before we start talking about everything, we spent like 30 minutes, I think, talking before getting on this episode about the NVIDIA CEO guy always wearing a leather jacket. This
Yeah,
guy, I was just thinking earlier today, just chilling. Like, this guy's always wearing a leather jacket. Any post you see of him, anything.
yeah. The joke, as I told you, on season 24, episode 5 of Real Time with Bill Maher, which is a political based show and so forth. So you don't have to read into the jargon of it. But close to the end in his segment called New Rules, he made the reference to the CEO of NVIDIA doing the same thing where he's always wearing a leather jacket and saying that, since he's such a multi-millionaire billionaire, he needs to get another outfit.
Yeah, like this guy, anything you see him in conferences, I think I've seen him in a coffee shop. Like, this guy's always got that leather jacket on. So in my mind, I'm like, this guy goes to sleep in it, he showers in it, he
Yeah.
goes,
Do, do you
wakes up.
remember do you
He's like
remember
a
the lead
cartoon.
designer? I forgot his name. The lead designer to Dead or Alive that passed away. He was always he
Oh,
was this it was a
oh,
Japanese yeoman. He had long hair, he always wore sunglasses, and he had always a leather jacket on too. So it was kind
yeah,
of like his look of things. So I don't know,
yeah.
maybe Steve Wong, stole the same appearance of what he wants to do with that. But, I think also people, maybe not CEO of NVIDIA, but there are some iconic people within the game industry that kind of have that same type of look. I mean, I still prefer, we were
Yeah.
talking before, Reggie, Nintendo,
Mm-hmm.
the suit and
He always had
tie,
the suit. Yeah.
great suit, great, I'm not just talking that it exercised professionalism, but I miss Reggie. Reggie I mean, I'm not the greatest Nintendo fan, but he always had a great delivery. He always spoke with confidence, and I think he is definitely an icon in the industry. And well, I hope he enjoys his retirement from the business. But I miss you, Reggie. I do.
Yeah, I miss Reggie too. I miss a lot of like executives in gaming, but something else like about talking about executives wearing stuff all the time. Like we were talking about like at E3 when I would go there, executives like Phil Spencer and them would wear like the jacket you wear for a suit, but have a t-shirt under it and jeans. Like, that was a whole
Yeah.
thing too. It's like,
Hmm.
okay, like I'm like, professional. I'm like, I'm up here, but I'm like cool still. I don't know. It's like a whole like era of like wearing that of people doing that. It's something random you think about sometimes you
Well,
notice.
on the flip side of that, and I'm probably going off a tangent on here, just for yourself, you've been to countless E3s and conferences and been part of, a number of discussions and so forth. The camera's always focused on, the presenter to whoever it is,
Yeah.
whether it's Reggie, Phil Spencer, and so forth. You know, what was the crowd like? I'd like to imagine that, the series of people taking questions and there are exercising the same professionalism. You might see the White House press corps go in there, but I also don't know if it's maybe just some guy in pajama pants, typing
No,
on a
I
laptop.
mean, honestly, even like other people in the media, like, I mean, I wear like just regular stuff, but some people wear the same thing, like wearing the jacket over the t-shirt with jeans on.
Hmm.
That was like the whole thing. Like, even the people in the media that wear that, or it's just like a generic. I never seen anyone in the media, at least, games media, dressed in the mess way though. So it's all been pretty normal for the most part. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt, shorts, or pants, like or a sweater,
Well,
a
we hope you're
sweatshirt.
wearing pants. We
Yeah.
hope you're wearing pants.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, so that was an interesting little just kind of something that sparked my brain today. These executives always wearing the same stuff and like a cartoon character. I guess it's six because clearly we're talking about it. But hey, so the overview of our show today, a little bit different, like I said in the beginning. Xbox has a new boss. That's right. If you haven't heard already, which you should have, Aisha Sharma is the new boss at Xbox all of a sudden. Project Helix has been confirmed, which we'll talk on that a little bit, which involves Aisha Sharma. Um, and all that. So, in the middle of this episode, we are going to have an interview with Dylan Lloyd, who is Rectify Gaming's or Rectify Esports former Mortal Kombat player, one of ours. He is also a musician and now a book writer, Coffee Walk Poetry. So we're gonna we dived in. I dived into that with him a little bit, so learn about the story there. So, if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a chapter there. So, in case you want to watch that, you go right ahead. And we're also going to talk about Highguard's downfall from Wildlight Entertainment. And lastly, fighting games. Of course, we love fighting games. We want to talk a little bit more about that. So, yeah, so I guess, to kick things off, February 23rd, Phil Spencer stepped down and retired from Xbox all of a sudden. And then Asha Sharma, who is Microsoft's former president of its core AI product, stepped in to become the boss. No really gaming background, so kind of an interesting uh person to put in this position, but this is not the first time we haven't seen an executive not really come from a gaming background, so it's not that big of a deal. I think what people care about is that she's from AI and wants to implement all this AI stuff. So um what's your take on Asha Sharma becoming the next Xbox boss, being an unknown person essentially?
Well, it definitely presents its questions. When you want to go when you want a medical opinion about your own health and so forth, you're going to a doctor. You're not going to someone who just read something on a WebMD. I
Yeah.
understand the questions that go into professionalism. That's why they always tell you like get a second opinion, not just for your health, but if you go to get your engine fixed or something like that, you don't know who's trying to pull the wool over your eyes. You go to one mechanic, you get one credit, one quote. You go to another mechanic, you get another quote. You just make your decisions, and that's no different here in the industry too, where people want to see someone who knows what they're talking about, taking the industry or taking the business into a good direction, especially with the downfalls that Microsoft and Xbox have had themselves. Getting beat up by PlayStation like almost 10-1 in terms of consoles, 4-1 in terms of Nintendo and their consoles, and even you can make the argument that Nintendo doesn't have like the library that the Xbox or PlayStation has. But they have a faithful base. They produce into their own IPs.
Hmm.
They give lots of I I think I think it was actually Jeff Kaplan was talking about in that recent interview on the podcast where they asked him about like the best games ever, and he was talking about I think it was either Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, where he was
Hmm.
saying that one of that it was just a beautiful game where again Nintendo, they invest in their product, they invest in their creators. So what can this new CEO really do to spark the interest? I mean, will she be talking to developers and studios to see what direction, or is she just going to dump everything into an AI bot and say which is going to produce the best outcome? I think that's
Hmm.
what people fear. And we've talked about this a number of times before, where, AI, at least at this era right now, to me, on the comfort level of what I think, it should be an assistive tool, not something you depend on.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't, we have so many different things in this world right now that not necessarily becoming AI dependent, but a lot of people are relying on AI to get answers from. I don't care if
Hmm.
you're a kid in grammar school where you're saying, Alexa, what's 10 times 25? Or, even if you're just a coworker in a business where you're saying, Claude or Copilot, you know, build me an Excel sheet that does X, Y, and Z and implements these factors. Talking to these AIs and creating something is great. I think actually even Claude with Anthropic, there was a there's a video going around where basically someone just talked into Claude and produced a fully functional video game that they're going to be releasing on the App Store, all used with public elements that they can use freely.
Yeah.
And that's just quick enough is. So going back to, Sharma, like, will she be the one to take the Xbox into the right direction? I don't know. I think everyone, particularly in the faithful Xbox community want it to be something. I know, didn't Microsoft just release Copilot into Xbox
Uh,
Series
they're
consoles right
planning.
now, or
No,
is
they're
that
planning to later this year. It's not in yet. It's something they're planning to implement. But kind of going on, Ashley Sharma's role in Xbox. I don't think they want her. Needs her to rely on games. I think that's why they promoted Matt Booty, and they have all these studios in anyway to handle the gaming part of it. I think there's maybe business aspects that she's good at that we don't know of. I don't know.
sure?
To try to boost the brand up, right? Because she's talked about bringing back Xbox. So what does that mean? Like she says, return of Xbox, great games, future of play. Kind of feels like she's baiting passionate Xbox fans, like, oh, we're gonna get our exclusives back, which I don't think that's the case because you know I think the goal is still from Satya Nadella to have your games accessible everywhere based on Xbox's GDC conference talking about Project Helix. So I don't know.
Well, you can. The thing is, in terms of the studios, like I think Microsoft has a good lineup of
They
studios. Like
do.
they have a great series of developers that they can make very strong, impactful games and not blow their budget on what they believe it needs to generate the income for their stockholders to hold on to. I think you can generate a significant amount of cash flow even with, a strong lineup of games. You don't know, you just don't need one or two strong hits to make your money. You can
Mhm.
you can still make your money with a lot of little projects at the same time. I think there's this clip going around on TikTok. I see that there was this indie developer on Steam who just basically revealed that how his tower defense game exceeded $200,000, and he got very emotional. And I'm not too sure if it's his girlfriend or his wife or partner that praises him, and that's just one guy just doing
Yeah,
just trying to do the work on his own, and that's good. I mean, $250,000, I think what the
goes a
clip
long way.
was, it for one person. I mean that
Even after taxes.
yeah, that's still really good, for so I think you can I hope that she does go with the idea that you can do more with less and not blow the budget on these big games and so forth. Maybe, I do like the idea of bringing back Xbox to not necessarily what it was, but having the strength it once had, and whether that's the exclusives of what Xbox once had, or just basically giving the community a lot more options and choices that they can use. I mean, I don't need a Zune 2, but
No, no, no. Nothing like that. No. Oh man, that would be an era. That
no
means if they
offense to
brought
you faithful Zune holders out
I've
there.
only known a couple of
If you
those in
have
my
your Zune
life.
out there, congratulations and so forth. You were the ever faithful trying to fight against the evil iPod, and sorry you lost, but
Yeah, you
still.
know what? If they brought that back, Xbox and Microsoft are in a good era of the Zune is back. You kidding me? That's like a confident thing to do if you're winning all the time, but they wouldn't do that now. Like I don't know. I don't know. Xbox is in a weird state. Like Project Helix, we know now. They admitted it right away. Like I like how they're being upfront and honest with it now because there's been reports about it. We knew it was coming next year. It's gonna be a console and it's gonna play console and PC games, which to me, I know, I think on our outline you even mentioned that something about digital. Will it be a digital only console or will it take physical games? Because we're talking
It better
about
be.
the Steam machine. We're talking about the Steam machine and everything like that. That might be it's only a digital device, right? And
Mhm.
if you have an only digital device, product ownership is at stake. Do you really own the product? The games, what I'm saying, but it has to have a disk drive, but I think Microsoft wants to get away from it. And my question to everyone who loves digital games is what if that game gets taken off the digital store and you can't play it anymore, right? So or have no chance to playing it.
That's a hard element to really control. I think that studios really try to gravitate to a cloud-based system to help, not just help, release updates for their games better, because, if you go from, a a user hosted system to basically server hosted system. For the overall game, the developer can introduce patches on an immediate level. You don't have this grand conflict between like, oh, Ty, do you have such and such game? Like, oh, I haven't updated it yet, so I have to
Yeah.
download the update. The server side pushes those updates so developers can address those patches, those fixes on a near immediate level that they can do. I mean, I has it gone insane with like how Call of Duty introduces like 100 gig patches on like every month just for textures and whatever. It does get ridiculous where users is like, I don't have that drive space to do these installs anymore. But also I think studios try to do it to, at least the bigger studios like you know Activision, Call of Duty, and Blizzard. Obviously, same instance with Overwatch and other games where they're trying to control these games where they fight and crack down on hackers and cheaters. Because if you have basically a game installed locally to your own system with its source code, then basically a hacker can just basically hack it directly on their console or their
Hmm.
PC and live those hacks there without with less introduction towards the server side, and they have less ability to detect it. That's exactly why the something like the Zen, I think it was Crotus Zen,
Hmm.
became such a fight in the battle royale market, because now it's a device that is hosted away from their eyes, hosted away from what they can do. So it fools the server in saying, oh, it's just a USB attachment. It doesn't have any code in it. It doesn't have any hacks in it. But it hides itself, and you have users creating these super clips on TikTok or YouTube of their wild shots when they're actually just hacking and clickbaiting everything they do. But
Hmm.
again, do we own the games that we buy? And I think that if the only way you can really do it is you have to split it between a multiplayer and a single player experience. You
Yeah,
have to
like
have something to host for yourself and for
yeah.
everyone that wants to play with their friends.
Yeah, like I lately in the last couple of years, especially this last year, I've been more into the single player games. So like I like owning them physically because you always plop them in, play them offline if you wanted to, if you ever had to, You don't
Hmm.
have to update it or anything like that. I always think physical games are still going to be important. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Microsoft wouldn't surprise me if they do digital only. It would suck. But Project Helix, I don't know what the cost would be, but I have no interest in the console yet. Obviously, I'd have to see more. I don't know if I would get it. I don't know. It all depends, right? It all depends what happens in the next few months to the year.
Didn't
Uh,
they just push out some like preliminary hardware to some studios? I think they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. I didn't have this on our outline because that was actually news when I was. So at GDC, they shared that dev kits
Hmm.
for
Yep.
Project Helix either went out or are going out soon. I think they already are
Hmm.
out. Yeah. So major developers already have it. I bet you Rockstar has it for the eventual GTA 6 port for that console.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a big thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we probably won't see. Obviously, we won't see Project Helix this year,
No,
but
it's
to
2027. It sounds like.
to make sure that a game of that caliber not only will be running, but be over optimized. I should say over, but like outperform its current
Mhm.
competitors when it finally releases, will definitely make that game a strong pull for new hardware seekers out there. Um, but it's gonna be a tough sell for Sharma to really get. It's a tough road for her. She's trying to rebuild a house, and I wish her the best of luck. So again, I have my reservations about her with what her background is, but I retain faith in the console, what it wants to be, and I hope she's true to her word that she
Mhm.
wants to bring it back to what it was and the strength it once had. But they don't have to hit every mark, but if they hit, a good significant amount where, supporting their user base, offering affordability for consoles, I think, as you said, physical media is very important for them, for users too, to have players feel like they're not just owning games, but also revitalize, the retro market and having other things like that. Backwards compatibility, that's also very important. But they don't have to hit all these marks, not at least not even all at once. But they got to do something to cater that because right now I think they have the studios to create the games that can really pull players in, um,
Hmm.
but they shouldn't be worried about like oh well we need to have the same library as PlayStation right now, especially with Sony themselves pulling what didn't they just pull their say that they're not no longer going to put PlayStation games
Yeah.
on Steam anymore,
Hmm.
so
Yep.
they're trying to push
Well,
exclusivity to their own
yeah.
console.
Yeah,
So.
I think if it's multiplayer games, Sony will still put on PC, but like Ghost of Yote, Wolverine, don't expect that to ever come to PC because I guess they say it's a waste of time.
Mhm.
For them, like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, good on them. They want to keep their stuff exclusive here. So, yeah, I mean, Xbox, bro, I feel like we're always going to talk about them, seeing what's up next. I mean, so much going on this year. So, with that, we're going to conclude the Xbox discussion and let's
Good luck.
hand it over to Dylan Lloyd. I talked to him for a bit to talk about his new book, his latest in music, and we talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat. So, we're going to switch that right now. All right, everyone. We are joined by Dylan Lloyd, who you may know as a Mortal Kombat player, a musician, and lately a new book writer. Coffee Walk Poetry is available now on Amazon. We'll dive into that a little bit later on in this interview. So, but first, I want to talk to you, Dylan, about Mortal Kombat. We all know you used to be a Mortal Kombat competitive player. What made you love Mortal Kombat? Want to compete early on?
Yeah, for sure, brother. First of all, thanks for having me, Tyler. This is so dope. I appreciate
Hmm.
this opportunity always. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I loved Mortal Kombat from being a player in MK11, and I got so much notoriety from playing Rambo at that time, and I was considered the best Rambo from North America, and
Right.
it was just a really awesome launch for me to not just make a name for myself in the FGC, but also to have myself be, have a name legitimized as a competitor within the scene, no matter like what iteration of Mortal Kombat came after that. But it wasn't just that gave me a name in the FGC. It was also stuff I did for the LGBTQ community and just doing my best to really be all inclusive to the entire community in general. And Mortal Kombat's always had a place in my life from the very beginning. I mean, I remember still playing one when I was super little, but I really didn't get into it on a competitive level until 11.
Yeah, 11. Let me tell you, 11 was a great time for Mortal Kombat, I thought, especially for esports. Like, Rectify was popping off around that time. We had some great people, great community. The fighting game community is too. Great group of people, I will say. Met some great people through there. Still talking to everyone, right? So, yeah, no, it's been awesome. So, like, who do you think is the best Mortal Kombat player you ever faced in a competitive play? You would think, like, off the top of your head. I know that you might forget some, but like, there's so many out there, right?
Man, I mean, just to give listeners context, I competed in MK1 for quite a while, made some good placements online, not offline, because I just didn't like the game enough to play offline. MK1 is actually my least favorite MK. But, I dedicated a lot more time, because I had a lot more time to be a competitor in MK11. And I'd say that I kind of merit who I feel is, my toughest competitor by the matches I have with them.
Hmm.
And I'd say two competitors that come to mind. I made top 10 at Frosty Fausting. I almost made top 8, but lost to Too Easy. So shout out to Too Easy. He's
I
one.
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, Too Easy. He's incredible. But and and also have to shout out Aztec too.
Oh, Aztec's a
Fellow
legend.
Rectify
Still
player.
supporting
Yeah,
Rectify.
dude,
What a legend he
for
is. Yeah.
sure, for sure, bro. But also I have to shout out Lil Uzi Vert because we had a really great camaraderie, but we also had a really great competitive streak against each other. He was a Sonya main, obviously I'm a Rambo main, and we had a lot of crazy matches on Outworld TV when that was out and kicking it. And so I'd say, Little Uzi Vert, Too Easy, the homie Aztec. Those are by far the three that I feel like I felt like were the most difficult competitors I've ever faced, and those were in an offline setting.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And those guys, I would say maybe more underrated. There's so many good guys out there. You may not think of them right away when you think about, the generic scene, but awesome guys. Aztec's a great guy too. Transitioning from your time as a competitive player, I guess, what a lot of people know you as is a musician, right? What was it like to be a musician at the time, but also competing in video games? I'm sure, competing in video games felt like a hobby, right? Sometimes balancing that, like, how do you stay motivated between the two, I guess?
No, that's a great question, bro. So when I was competing full time, then, I wouldn't say full time, but a lot of time. My main job was always putting my music in film and TV. That's my main job today, main job then, main job forever. On the downtimes, before I became a dad, it was so much time I had, when I wasn't working. I'd work, fucking 9-10 hour shifts and then come home late at night and be like, hey, worked on music all day, trying to put stuff on film and TV. Let's just wind down. And those were the times I would be, late at night labbing with friends or going on Combat League, going in the lab, just really trying to hone everything I would do. This went into MK1 too. Everything before me becoming a dad, like when I had the time to really dedicate to it, it was just really focusing on things I loved to do with the character, getting the fundamentals down with that character that I felt were the character's strengths. Rambo I felt like was a great zoning character, but also a great CQC character. So I did I had a lot of moves or mindsets that I would try to implement with what he would do in the corner, what the corner game was, full screen neutral, what I would do with him. The mid-range game was also important because he had great lows that would be great mid-range. So I would practice all these things and then implement them in Combat League, and then really just focus in on seasonal point competitions, offlines obviously, online tournaments, and I had a lot of success with him. And it transferred too, made top 32. I think it was season 5 of Rips Arena for MK1. So the same thing applies. Like, the beauty is when you get to a high level competing, the fundamentals don't change. Like learning frame data, like finding the character you love. It could be top tier, low tier. I'm usually a low tier guy, or perceived low tier, we should say. But I mean, that's just how I am. Like, I'm a lab rat when it comes to that, and then just implementing it in real time.
Nice. And so I want to talk more about your music now. So like I follow you all the time, obviously, and I see everything that you post. And something I noticed, like, you get surprised even yourself when some of your own songs, like your top hits, gets featured on Netflix shows. I think Temptation Island and Love Island are two of them, right? So like, just to give everyone a behind the scenes look, how does that work? Do they contact you, or they just take your song and use it? Like, I'm sure you have to get benefited somehow, right? Like, as a musician.
No, that's a great question, brother. Yeah, so what happens is I'm approached by music supervisors with something called a brief. And the brief is kind of literal in the sense that it's a brief description of what they need musically for a scene. And sometimes they'll give me, sometimes I'll look at pre-rolled film. Sometimes I'll just be told in a brief the description. Sometimes I'll be told the name of the film or the show, and sometimes I won't be. But what I do is I write to what they've briefed me on, and then, sometimes I'll do multiple songs and just throw it at them and see what sticks. But I get the briefs from these music supervisors who have been hired to supervise music for the show or the film.
Oh, okay.
And I get these all the time. I get these every month.
Really?
And then
really?
Yeah, every month, yep. And then I pitch my stuff, and then I'm like, oh, dude, it actually made it. That's crazy. So I'm always surprised. I'm like, whoa, dude, it actually
Yeah,
it actually
that's
worked.
sick. Yeah.
So yeah, man, that's what puts food on the table is the film and TV thing.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've never like talked to someone or met someone who has been through that. That is actually really cool. And looking at your Spotify chart, I mean, "Caught Up" has to be one of those songs, right? Or "The Wheel" and those, some of your top hits. No, like were they featured?
Yeah, they are some of my top hits. But what's funny is when a song gets on a show, then other songs do well too.
Oh,
So
okay.
they cross pollinate. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
dope. Like um, Runaway was featured. Don't Make Me Wait was featured. I have a song that I'm actually re-releasing. It's not on anything right now, but I'm re-releasing it to be on stuff. That was in Love Is Blind. It's called Time Will Tell.
Okay.
But Don't Make Me Wait and Runaway were recently on Temptation Island. I'm waiting to see now if I have any music that's going to be on the second season of Temp Island for Netflix. I don't know yet. It's
Mm.
possible that I don't, but they've used one of my songs for 2 seasons in a row. Once when it was only on USA Network, and then when it was on Netflix when it became a top 10 show. So
That's sick. That's
it's
awesome.
crazy, dude. It's
Yeah.
thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's wild even talking about it.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's good to hear. Good to see. So, obviously, going from music now now you're writing a book, Coffee Walk Poetry. I know this, inspired you during COVID. I know we all went through a dark time during COVID. Everyone did. If you didn't, you're probably lying. So you're able to take us through like the background over this book. It's basically all about poetry, which some great writings in here. I haven't checked it all out yet, I'll say, but I have read through some of it. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, thank you, brother. First of all, thank you for buying it, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you even doing this with me and featuring this. But yeah, man. So I mean, just for context, bro, like I, because it kind of coexisted during MK11 and
Hmm.
through MK1ish, I guess, in a sense. But um, nobody could do anything during COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
So when I would walk to get coffee, which is the only time I would feel freed up to do anything, that's when I would compose these poems. But they would have to be short because the walk from the crib to Starbucks was short.
True.
So I would just do short poems. And I had no prior literary history. I had never known like what like the correct syntax and correct like structure there was for poetry per se from a literary aspect. So I just was writing the way I felt. And then there were many iterations of how I was going to release it. Because this was a 4-year, 5-year endeavor in the making.
Had to be. Yeah.
It was, yeah, man. So I was just kind of like, okay, well, should I go with a traditional publisher? I don't really know how to pursue that. So then I went self-published through a company. And then I was like, no, I don't like the way they were taking the percentages from me.
Hmm.
So then I had to wait for the contract to expire from there and get all my rights back so that I could release it the way I did now. Then I was thinking about just doing them on TikTok only for free because I was like, I have 100,000 followers there and they already like the stuff I'm doing. Let's see if it just gets viral there and I can then publish it. I don't know. So they did go viral there, and that inspired me to then publish it for real. And then I did, and then it became a #1 bestseller, which is still the most
Yeah, that's
insane
been
thing.
number one best selling. Yeah, I mentioned on on our podcast earlier, which this interview is gonna be part of if you're watching it there or on a separate YouTube video. But yeah, no, #1 selling, right? Best selling on Amazon. So that's great. And writing a book in any kind, that's got to be hard. I don't even know what the process is like. Even writing something, even writing for me, I can't write poetry. I'll be honest, like. I mean, it's not me. I can't write it. So it's like, it is a skill. And I was going to ask you, like, is it because you're so good at it? Is that, it relates to writing music, writing, lyrics for music and things like that? Could you relate both of them? I'm assuming so, but.
No, that's a great question, bro. So you would think that they are synonymous, but you would think that they're like more than synonymous, that they're like exactly the same enough to transfer from one dimension to the other creatively. But in my opinion, honestly, Tyler, they're not.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
they're not. Yeah, they're not. I mean, I feel there's more freedom to express in poetry because there's no restriction or environment that is caging in the creativity.
Hmm.
With songs, there's structural format. There's verse, pre-hook, hook, verse, bridge. There's a structure in songwriting. especially when it's a particular genre that you're working in. But with poetry, in my opinion, there isn't any of that. There's so much latitude that you have to to expand upon any of your thoughts. So I just concentrated on flow and rhythm. Literally, just rhythm. Are the poems I'm writing, are they rhythmic in nature? And as long as they felt rhythmical and I could recite them rhythmically, then I felt like they could make the cut.
Awesome, yeah. One other thing I was wondering about, I kind of ask this now, especially people in music, like even my father's involved with music, not to a high degree or anything like that. You know, he has his own album and stuff like that. Today's world in 2026 is so much AI. As a musician, do you worry about that? I like supporting real people, real artists, and like I always will. I don't like AI music or anything like that.
I feel you, man. Look, to be honest with you, I'm part of the minority. I do like AI. I'm not. There are some good parts to it, mm-hmm. but I'm not fully on board with AI taking over human creativity. I'm not on board with that. Yeah. But I am on board with AI assisting in certain aspects. Like, for example, if you are pitching a song to a major artist and you wanted to whip up a demo really quick via like a voice memo you had recorded, mm-hmm. but you wanted it in a specific style to just show someone quickly, that is in that essence, Suno and stuff, AI is an extremely amazing tool.
Okay.
You're making the demo really quick in a way that you're queuing up. Now, obviously, the song is still yours. You wrote the melody, you wrote the music, the chords, the whole thing, etc. You're just feeding it then to an AI to say, hey, can you make this sound big bandish, or can you make this sound like a pop top 10 song? So then you can then show this song completed to someone you want to actually record it. So you wouldn't use any of the AI aspects. You wouldn't use any of the AI stuff in the final recording. You're just showing them.
It's kind of like you're using it as a tool.
As a tool, exactly.
Yeah. See, that's why I like AI. Use it as a tool. Don't use it as the final product. I get what you're saying there. Yeah. So that's a good point. I've always been interested in what different musicians have to say about it, because I know it's a threat in some ways. Some people think.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's funny is the threat is actually, to be honest with you, in my opinion, it's becoming pretty much less so than you think. Because, the major labels have really cracked down on AI-used music. I mean, in fact, you can't even present to a music supervisor for TV and film anything AI-generated. It doesn't matter if it was just a bar of music. If there's any AI in it, what you're risking is copyright infringement, because a lot of these companies that use AI, they train their AI system to be influenced by released music.
Yeah, that's where they're grabbing it from. Have to be grabbing it from somewhere. So
right.
That's a good point. Okay.
Exactly, bro. Right. Yeah. So, but the thing is now, Sony, for example, Sony has come up with, I think, a tracker where it can put your song through a system and it can find out whether or not there was AI anything used in it.
Wow.
So there's that, and then there's banning of using it in film and TV. So honestly, it's not as much of a threat, I feel as in my opinion. Obviously, if you're a demo singer, mm-hmm. and you're getting people cutting you out and doing an AI demo singer instead, then that's where it becomes problematic, and that really sucks. But other than that, though, I feel like people will use AI less and less professionally. They'll use it as a tool, but they won't use it as an end-all, be-all for okay, I'm going to make this AI an artist, and now it's charting top 10 in the billboards. I think those days are kind of they're going to be over at some point.
Nice. I like that's an interesting take.
In my opinion.
I'm an outsider when it comes to that, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
In my opinion, that's where I feel like it'll eventually be cracked down and controlled.
I think so too. I think eventually. I think everything's so new, everyone's messing with everything. One last question. I don't have too much. The Chicago Cubs. You think they're having a good year this year?
Let's go. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
I will say, though, bro, it's unfortunate. I'm hoping Seiya Suzuki, because he injured himself a bit in the WBC. I'm hoping that if he goes on the IL, I hope it's not too long. But as a whole, bro, Ballesteros, PCA, Michael Bush, Seiya Suzuki, Dansby Swanson, Alex Bregman, Carson Kelly, and then the pitching depth. This is a World Series contending team. In my opinion, it's a World Series winning team.
Yeah, you got to worry about the Dodgers. That's the only thing.
That's really it, though. I understand the Dodgers are a behemoth, but
Yeah.
no season is the same, and anything can happen. And you just gotta have. Baseball is mostly more about, in my opinion, it's more about depth than it is talent. Like, you have to have the depth to go across more than 162 games because you're going to get in the playoffs after that. So the Cubs got that. They got depth locked down for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dylan, for doing this. I really
Yeah,
appreciate
dude,
it.
for
And
sure.
those who are listening or watching, make sure to follow Dylan Lloyd everywhere on social media. It's Dylan Lloyd everywhere. It's not that hard to find. I'll put links in the description below, of course. I'll be sharing this interview everywhere on the Rectify Gaming channels. Dylan, you're awesome. Thank you for so
Let's go.
much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for Dylan for joining the Rectify Roundtable. Really great to have him on. Great guy. If you haven't already, check out his book on Amazon, Coffee Walk Poetry. It's it was considered a best-selling on Amazon recently, so that was a great accomplishment by him. So definitely go check that out. We discussed it a little bit there in the interview. So next topic we have kind of a big topic this year, the biggest flop I think I've ever seen in my life. Highguard and Wildlight Entertainment. It was just I didn't even know what to say about Highguard. I know the last episode, it was right before it released, like 2 days before. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. Might be a big deal. The reason why it's probably a big flop is that it was the last big announcement at the Game Awards, which happened so late at night, it wasted everyone's time. They try to hype it up like Apex. The servers have shut down as far as March 12th, 2026. It was revealed that Tencent was like the funder behind all of this, including Wildlight Entertainment. And so that entire studio looks like it's shutting down now. Nothing's official yet, but most of their social pages are shutting down and everything like that. So I don't know. What did you try to play Highguard?
I played a little bit of it. I wouldn't even say that I dedicated enough time to it. For what I saw of it, it had some really good elements. As
Mm-hmm.
I've told you before off the cast,
Yeah.
I'm not the target audience for it. I know it has
Mm-hmm.
good elements towards it. Had decent cast of characters, lots of different functions. Graphics were pretty tight. I mean, when I played it, I didn't see any like Ubisoft, full like frames where like people's faces were just disappearing. That's like one of the most infamous glitches I think of the past few years in terms of the games, like with Assassin's Creed Unity, where whole scenes where basically people's faces were just missing and there was just eyes and teeth floating out in the space. But no, it was solid in terms of its appearance and so forth. But it to me, it didn't have enough meat on its bones for me to like say, all right, I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep playing it. I think cost, was decent. It was like $40 if you wanted the full game and so forth. But it, yeah, to me, I don't think a game like that. Um, I think I also have to say that particularly for games in general, especially ones that are trying to pull on the multiplayer market, have a very tough time trying to make that initial buy because
Yeah.
they want to those studios seem to gravitate to like the day one buy, like the old days of Call of Duty where they release on the midnight sale and then the next day it's like, oh, Call of Duty's, sold over like, 1.2 million copies, or Halo 2 sold over 4 million copies. I think that's what they want to see, and maybe that's good for, stockholders, investors to see that instant buy, like, yes, it's going to be a great game, because even if, even like on the Halo 2, let's say Halo 2, you can probably pull the exact numbers, but I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
make up numbers here. And this, let's say they pulled like, $20 million out of that. And then let's say a percentage of that were 15% of users didn't like Halo 2, and so they returned it. 15% of $20 million, it's you're still profited on your budget for the game.
Yeah.
So you're still winning, even in that instance. But when you're talking about a game like Highguard, that I don't know what their budgetary expenditures were for that game, but for the low traction that they got into their purchases, and other than the buzz that streamers were trying to pull to it for their publicity and so forth, it didn't it did not pull the interest that they wanted to, so they just didn't make the
No.
money.
Yeah, they try to
And that's a
apex
high
it.
it's a high
Yeah.
demand.
Yeah.
But
This in this era of like this generation of trying to create a game, whether it's free to play or whatever, first person, and it's a first person shooter, it's hard to make it now because like the world of streamers now, they are so toxic. They'll kill a game even if it's not a not a bad game. And actually, Jeff Kaplan, I don't know if you saw it recently. I know we talked about the comment he made about Blizzard recently,
mhm,
like how they expected so high expectations. But he also mentioned, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank now. He mentioned something about, oh yeah, I think it might have been a part of the same interview. He
it was.
mentioned, oh my God, like people like not playing the game, like or like hating on the game because it's fun to hate or something like that. It
Mhm.
was something along those lines, like, people are hating on games even if they're not playing it. Just shut the fuck up and don't like something like that. I'm
Yeah.
drawing a blank on it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
This generation
he did mention that.
has such a bad habit of hating on games that people don't even wanna play. So as Jeff Kaplan says, "Shut the fuck up." Like,
Well,
seriously. That guy is so, like that interview, we haven't talked about it much, but that guy is so brutally honest. It's so true, though.
well, you have to. I think you kind of have to be, and with the amount of time that these studios, particularly these big budgeted studios, sort of like you talk about games like Call of
Mhm.
Duty, or you're talking about Overwatch, or you're talking about Battlefield, and so forth. With I can understand with a big money publisher like EA or Activision, melting in so many hours, so much manpower. You're talking about pools of testers, not just in like like when I was doing testing in so like, we were just like sitting in rooms like with like anywhere between max maybe 20 people playing a game.
Mhm.
But with the level that these games are trying to pull, where you want to have like 64-man servers and stuff like that, where you're doing like 200 plus testers on a game. Even the Call of Duty games, the rotation as that they went into, where it was Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, and what was the other one? Raven, I think it was Ravensoft was the other one.
Mhm.
Where they were doing the whole thing where like every year a studio is going to take their turn of it. You watch the credits of
Yeah.
those games, which most people don't. They still pass more resources. Like Infinity Ward doesn't
Mhm.
build it on their own. They still push stuff to Sledgehammer. Do this
Yeah.
part. They send this to Ravensoft. Do this part. And the same thing with the rotation. When Sledgehammer's in it, they send stuff to Infinity Ward. They send stuff down to because it's all the same company. So they're not exclusively just making that one game with that one studio, particularly for those big budget titles. But there's so much time invested into it that it seems like garbage that you just have maybe some dude with some 25 follower YouTube saying like, "Oh, this game is crap, don't buy it," and then not it's different if it's one person doing that, but we live in such a influencer enriched and oversaturated market now, where everyone wants to like there's so many people trying to make money off of streaming. We're doing this while doing a podcast, so
Mhm.
who are we to say any
Yeah.
different? But there's so many people out there just speaking things that negative comments almost uh, draw more of a crowd to you than is. It's like the loudest person in the room always gets the attention that they want. And so,
Yeah.
those people that are being over dramatic, whether it's saying they love the game or they hate the game, those are the people that gain like the most views and attraction when they're not really being brutally honest or even giving a game possibly an honest chance, which is why even for me, for Highguard, I didn't play it all that much. I'm just
Mhm.
be honest about it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I soaked in 48
No,
hours into the game and explored every aspect of it. I can't, and that's why even game reviews I think are it's a hard thing to really say that I gave everything its fair
Mm,
shot.
yeah.
Because can you really explore? You know yourself, doing reviews of games, from point of when you get it to when you want to do a review, like how much time do you really give yourself or reviewers to say? And even in your own opinion, do you think that's a good enough amount of time to say yes or no. I mean, we want to try to give ourselves like kind of like first impressions,
Yeah.
or at least kind of like where that interest is. But again, with a game like Highguard, I understand it's not for me. It's not my target
No, it's
audience.
not me
I
either.
can I can see, where elements people might enjoy things like maybe if that game had more of like a mod community where people can change things around, it might do
It
something better.
it
But
was a really weird game.
it was,
I tried it.
but so again, it's not for you, it's not for me, but it's for someone out there.
I don't
And I
know.
think,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
No, it's just the game was so weird. Playing it, I sucked at it so much. I don't know. I got destroyed at it so bad. Even like riding the horses and like trying to use that combat and the
Hmm.
gunplay. I just was not good at it. It was not for me. It was a weird type of game. Felt like captured a flag, but different. Like trying to
Hmm.
capture a base or defend it. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it was interesting. They definitely try to do like I said earlier, Apex it, which no one remembers in 2019 when Apex Legends was about to launch, Respawn Entertainment held a big thing where like all these streamers attended this private event, and then they marketed like hyping it up before the reveal of it, and then when they revealed it, the game released like an hour later or like the same like whatever, like right when they revealed it, it released, and that
Yeah.
game caught
It
on
was
like
also free
crazy.
though. It
Yeah,
was
it was
also
also
free,
free,
which
but
is why I think a game like Highguard could probably more benefit from being
well,
a
Highguard
free
was free
game. And
actually. I think it was free.
at least in the store that when I saw on PlayStation, it was
Oh, maybe. All
it
right,
was
never mind.
$40.
I don't
Like
know, but
I played it on the beta that originally came out, but again, it was all right, like, again, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Um, but I said Apex, it's a game that fell off the pace a little bit in terms of its popularity, especially after um Respawn was attacked with so many different hackers, and the competitions really like fell apart because they were getting just hit by hackers and hackers and hackers and so forth, that
mhm.
no competitor really wanted to do the leagues anymore because they didn't know who was real, who was not. So but it's still a game that actually it has its base. It's definitely fallen off the pace quite a bit. I know those of you, and I mentioned it last time, that follow streamers like Burnt Peanut and Nick Merckx and so forth.
Yeah,
They've been stepping away from arc raiders and playing games like Apex, and generating a new reinvigorated interest into Apex. I still love playing Apex. I haven't played it in almost a year, but when I see like the new characters, the levels,
yeah. They
I
have
always love the
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say
I.
the Gundam collab. They have a
Mhm.
Gundam collab right now.
That to me, that's not enough for me to like
What are you
dedicate
talking
hours away
about?
into doing it. I mean, I love Gundam too,
I
but
never
it's
watched an
not.
episode.
Well, anyone who's watched the Gundam, and it's really funny because it does like this mega blast that like shoots down at people just like the Gundam does. So it's fun to see that type of.
It-
But those collaborations are great though. Those collaborations
yeah,
are great.
they're
So
interesting. Like Apex has interesting ones.
hmm it is so but look at Overwatch. Overwatch has kind of redone itself too, and
Yeah,
with released new characters and this new series that they just released, returning back to the 6v6 too. So that's also back, which a lot of people were excited about. We're not back to the COVID time Overwatch League interest level, I think, anymore. But I
no.
think Blizzard and Overwatch are going in a good direction. Will it be the best direction? I don't know if they just have to keep it up, but because they also scrapped Overwatch 2 and just made it Overwatch
Yeah,
again. So
that's something that we
now
didn't. Yeah, yeah. That's really bad, bad marketing, I guess you would say. I don't know. What a mess.
then it's just a name in transit, but as long as they support the game, and so I think it'll still go along. People are still gonna buy those microtransactions, buy those loot boxes, whatever it is, but it has a solid game, and well. as for Highguard, I'm sorry for that studio. It's hard
It sucks.
to think about these studios losing money, people losing jobs, and where the game really, again, the game didn't have its chance, and
Mm-mm.
for it to be sunk even before it really even got that chance, or even I think the developers also really paid attention to its initial criticism and tried to address everything
They
as
tried.
quickly as they could.
Yeah.
And still, they it's like you paid them to just put lipstick on a pig and not even give it his chance. So, um, well, again, for all those people in those studios and the people that put the effort in, I feel sorry for them. I wish they got the chance that they
Yeah.
deserve.
Some of those people that spoke out, they were passionate about the project they worked on. It's just a shame, you know. It's crazy how Tencent funded like 90% of it sounds like, and Jeff Keighley is also involved with Tencent, so it kind of makes you wonder about the Game Awards reveal. Is that kind of like, the tie into it all? Probably, don't want to admit it because Jeff hasn't admitted it. But anyway, enough with Highguard. Oh, by the way, before we go and talk about fighting games, is there a new Gundam like season or something? Is
Not that
there a
I
new
know of. I mean,
Gundam?
there could
Like,
be, but
because
I don't
I'm
know.
because Gundam is doing the Apex collab, and then Gundam is doing a Forza Horizon 6 collab. They teased that
Yeah,
one of
they
the
are.
Forza Horizon 6 reveals. So like Gundam, like this, why is Gundam all of a sudden doing like these crossovers now? I mean, it's a
They
good
could be.
IP.
The
I don't
only thing
know.
I know about Gundam in recent years is that they keep building like giant-sized Gundams in Japan and just standing there. So, it's cool to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a giant Gundam in Manhattan, just but it, uh, uh, instead of the funny thing is that like I imagine, I can't speak for everyone. I imagine that in Japan, people will see a giant Gundam erected in the middle of Tokyo and be mesmerized. Whereas, like, if a giant Gundam was erected here in Manhattan, people would be complaining, like, oh, it's just going to clog up more traffic and whatever, and so, you know, no one's going to be excited about it as people would be in Japan. So
Yeah.
I would be
Oh
excited
man.
about it, but not. I don't think
Yeah.
people will just complain that it's just getting in their way.
Yeah. 100%. I'd be kind of sick though. All right. Speaking of game, Gundam and whatever. So I want to talk about fighting games a little bit because I want to make this episode a little bit about fighting games too. Uh, so I was thinking just randomly fighting games, right? I feel like they're not appreciated enough. Are they appreciated enough, you think, from people? I don't know. That's a weird
No,
question. I feel
not
like
anymore.
fighting games are like one of those games that brings people together. You mean you go to arcades back in your day? What are you gonna play? Fighting games, right? Or shooters?
Quarter up, quarter up.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think fighting games are cool. Like I don't know. When I'm saying are they appreciated enough, maybe I'm thinking more on esports side of things. I think it's really entertaining, but it's like and it's crazy. Fighting games are like a what do they say now? Attention spans. Like, you don't need a crazy attention span for a fighting game.
No, no, you really don't. For fighting games well, I should say on a normal level fighting game, like if you're playing at home and you're playing online, a single bout in a fighting game can be less than like 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
not like watching a UFC fight where you watch 3 minutes and then you watch like a minute and a half of ads because you're getting Budweiser or whatever thrown
Yeah.
and pushed down your throat, and then you get into another. But UFC matches can also end in a matter of 15 seconds because someone does like a flying backhand and they're game over.
Hmm.
So the hype is there. But for fighting games, speaking as like an old school fighting game, not aficionado but fan and so forth of what it is. Growing up with Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, and oh God, I miss Killer Instinct. I love That's one of the things I still play on my Xbox because I love Killer
One of
Instinct.
the best.
Um, I would love to see, if there was an IP, I would think that Microsoft could really go with, not just publishing on Xbox, but publishing on PlayStation to do
And Switch
cross-platform.
2.
I,
Fuck
yeah, I,
yeah.
I
Fuck
think it'd be
yeah.
great. I think
Oh
it would be
fuck yeah.
great.
Killer Instinct. Bring it now, Microsoft. Aisha Sharma. Get it get someone together. bring Killer Instinct, to bring a new game, bring a classic game back, do whatever
Yeah.
you need to do to put it on every platform possible. Bring the fight stick back. Everyone bring the fight sticks back. Well, it's already been back, but just do
Yeah.
whatever you got to do, you know?
Yeah, but like the excitement of the fighting games, particularly in that era, when you would go to your arcades, one of the marvelous things, particularly that Tekken started doing in the beginning, was they started doing time release characters. Like you went there, you had like, Tekken 2 had I think a base of 10 characters when it first started, but then because I worked in a video game store at that time with
Yeah.
Tekken 2 arcade machine in the front, and I was playing it all the time whenever we didn't have customers and so forth. But I would go, and then one day I saw a new score popped up. Like, who is that? What's going on? New reveal. It was exciting because that made you go back to the arcade. It made you go back to the machine. Who's next? How many people? No one knew. No one knew how many characters it was going to end up being, and it was exciting to see. And it had so many characters. And then Street Fighter started doing the same thing, I think, with Street Fighter 4, where on that one they started doing time release. But then we got poisoned by what's called data miners, where people looked into Street Fighter 4 and they were like, I was like, oh, look, there's the code for Blanca. They could have had Blanca in the game. They sold us a half-made game. I'm like, come on, just can you just give us something where like we're gonna get a surprise later? Just save that. That's I mean, data miners, they have
Yeah,
their
they ruin the
mark in
fun.
the industry, but yeah, they spoil it for us too quickly.
Yeah.
As for fighting games in general, do they have the interest and the flair, particularly in the esports market, as they once did? Uh, I think
I will
also like
say the uh,
I wish they had more. I wish they
yeah.
had more.
The energy though at a fighting game esports event,
Oh,
especially
so
a big
good.
one, oh my god! Like that's like one of the most
Evo.
passionate community. Evo, even if you go to a smaller event, it's like everyone's like
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
game 7 or do a bracket reset in a fighting game. Oh my god, it's so
It's
good.
so good.
It's so
It's so
good,
good.
so good. That's
What
why.
was it? What recently? I think Capcom just said that they're no longer going to. You can't watch their competitions online. You have to pay for it on a subscription.
Wow, that's
Uh,
gonna kill
so
you can't do that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot do that. I haven't heard that, but it's probably a true thing. Like you're killing your potential new customers and like viewerships.
Mhm.
That's cocky. That's a cocky move, and that's a
Yeah,
crazy move if that's true. Holy fuck,
yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's
I mean, PlayStation has their hold on the Capcom tournaments, particularly for Street Fighter 6,
mhm.
on to be hosted on PlayStations and so forth. So I don't know, maybe they'll do something where it's like, oh, if you're a
You
PlayStation,
can only watch it.
member, then maybe you can watch it through there or so forth. But you're excluding a whole audience from that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
So. The one of the marvelous things, particularly about streamers too, is that they have helped me look at games that I would never normally would play. And, let's say someone who doesn't know anything about fighting games at all, whether it's Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Smash, Street Fighter, maybe they
Mhm.
don't like playing those games, but they like watching those games.
Yeah,
They like watching the intensity,
I.
like what you're talking about, the bracket reset and the
Mhm.
fights and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, it's the best. And when you own a team and have a player competing in those type of situations, like your adrenaline fucking it's like something I can't explain. It's like
hmm
yeah, like
Like it,
that's what it's
it
like. I can't
it's
that's
like
what
a to talk in a manner that you would relate to, Ty. It's like great playoff hockey.
yeah, yeah.
You can go to a playoff hockey game with a person who doesn't know anything
Anything
about
about
hockey,
it. Just
but they will go and they will be a part of that crowd and they will love it. They
yeah.
will have a great time. My girlfriend, I loved hockey, way before, I met her. She's like, let's go to a game. I'm like, I've never been to a hockey game before. She loved it. She loved it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the intensity of it. So you can still
Mm.
watch something and not really be part of it in terms of its structure, but you can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's exactly what a fighting you know what? You just brought up a good point. The fighting games are like playoff hockey. Yeah.
or to
Yeah,
whatever sport you guys like out there,
yeah,
whether it's playoff football, playoff basketball.
playoff football put me to sleep. That's more like League of Legends. League of Legends is the
But
biggest like esports, so it makes sense. NFL is the biggest, so the most boring. Well, I may get
New
shot for
York.
saying that, so I should shut up. But anyways,
We're New Yorkers here,
yeah.
so we the reason why we hate playoff football is because our teams are
Oh
sorry
yeah,
Jets, sorry Giants, Buffalo.
one of the worst.
You're the only real true
Yeah.
New York team, to be honest, and you gave it a good run. Josh Allen, I wish you were in the Super Bowl if you ever watch this, and
Oh, I
well,
wish.
maybe next year,
Yeah. But anyway, so like talk about fighting games. Well, what do you? Because I can't really speak on this though. What would you say makes Tekken better than Street Fighter, or like Street Fighter better than Tekken? That's a tough question.
But
I can't
you
say much
you
because I never really played Tekken a lot to really like give my formal opinion. I'd probably
well,
take Street Fighter because I think I'm alright at it. I like the
I'll tell
gameplay.
you. In of its origin, with particularly with Street Fighter and Tekken, one's 2D, one's 3D. So I gravitated more towards 3D because the characters gave me more options in terms of movement, especially when they introduced the sidestep to the characters in Tekken 2. In Tekken 1, you really couldn't sidestep that. But the other thing about that time was, especially when you gravitated from Street Fighter 2, and then they had Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, then Street Fighter Championship Turbo, and then Street
Hmm.
Fighter 2 the new challengers, and then Street Fighter 2, the new challengers Turbo, and all. It's like you had the same iteration of game, and then you started circulating later into Street Fighter 3, and then more of the same type of games, whether you talk about Darkstalkers or you talk about the Street Fighter vs. X-Men series. The generality of most characters, or of their roster of characters, rely around like 3 or 4 game mechanics, whether you're using someone that's using kind of like a half circle motion, a quarter circle motion, or a charge from left to right or up and down. It's like those are the same type, like almost every character has either one of those 4 game mechanics, where versus Tekken, you have so many other, not just say so many other options, but you rely more on like a cadence of punches and button sequences, and depending on where you are or what motion you're carrying, may affect the outcome of a game later. But now I think and during that time, again, you had so many characters in Street Fighter in those games that had almost like the same type of things, and where every character started becoming almost like where Mortal Kombat gets kind of like that initial I wouldn't say hate, but critique, where in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, you had the same type of characters. You had Sub-Zero and then Scorpion. And then the next one you had Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and you had like Smoke or Ermac or something like that. And going into the next characters, it was all just a skinned character with almost the same motions. And you didn't really feel like you're playing someone different. So it's just like a new same character with a different skin. But then Mortal Kombat started developing further with different game mechanics, like introducing the run mechanic, and then also like assistive characters where you can bring in another one. So it really evolved and changed and made itself a little bit different, away from all those fatalities that everyone loved watching. But even Mortal Kombat on a competitive level, so exciting to watch. That game, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
What's it called? DC's Injustice, that was another great game to watch competitively.
Hmm.
Street Fighter is also great. Dragon Ball Fighter Z is exciting to watch. But even
That
the other like more I would say like more anime centric type of games like Guilty Gear. You have what's it called?
Guilty Gear has some good
Uh,
music.
what's it called? That's the tag battle one, not Grand
Oh,
Blue, but there was
Grand
another
Blue,
one.
2XKO.
Yeah,
No.
all those games, and now you have the new Marvel game,
Oh,
Marvel
yeah. Token.
Token.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited to play that
that
just
looks
because I
good.
love Marvel characters, and the art style is really. I mean, I was in the beta too, and it was fun.
I didn't try it.
It was very limited in terms of what characters that you could do, and also follows a little bit more of a simplistic button sequence, similar to the 2KO game
Right.
that's already released too, but it still has its place. And as far as like for on a competitive level, it can be stronger. And how you do that on an online presence is difficult. Talking about Street Fighter, talking about Tekken, like Tekken just released a new season of characters that's going to be releasing over the course of the year.
Yeah,
Street Fighter just
they're
introduced
doing
its newest element, bringing back one of my favorite characters that came back
Alex.
is Alex. That's going to be, yeah, I love Alex.
Really?
Alex is great. He was such an underrated character at the time, but I'm one of those people that like picking characters that people don't normally play because I
Hmm.
want to challenge myself. I mean, it's probably harder for myself, and I could never compete on a competitive level. But
Yeah,
I like using all sorts of characters to just mix it up because I don't
I
want to see
agree.
I don't want to see a Ryu versus Sagat fight all the time. It gets boring, and
100%.
I think with fighting games, it's a little bit harder to narrow it down to a smaller meta of characters that people always pick. Because, as Sonic Fox, one of the, one of the great competitors out there who has jumped into every fighting game competition, at least every major one,
Hmm.
whether it's Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and I don't think he's played Street Fighter, but Mortal Kombat, all those games, he's tried different games and he's mixed it up with characters that most people wouldn't have thought that was an effective character to use, but he introduces new elements on how to make it, and I think that's what makes like competitors as our interview going really see because you try to find that edge that will bring about like you don't want to just have like let's say it was Mortal Kombat. Let's say if Liu Kang was rated like the top character in that game, all it is just basic competitions of people filling out with Liu Kang characters.
Hmm.
But competitors want to find that different edge, a new way to use a character that'll bring about not just uh, uh, uh something of their own identity into their fighting style, but also just bring about a new mechanic of play, and it makes those games exciting to me.
Yeah.
And do they get the attention that I think they deserve? Probably not right now. I would like to see them come up again, but it I don't know how you can do that in this market right now
Hmm.
because people want more for less money. And
Yeah.
is a Street Fighter Pass for like $50 for 4 new characters that will be released over 1 year really worth that amount of money? I don't know. I mean, I bought it, but not everyone can. So what else are we gonna do?
Yeah, it is a weird market. Like
Like,
Mortal
Nintendo
Kombat.
doesn't do that, right?
No.
Like, no, Nintendo just basically has all their characters right there, and they'll give them to you as long as they don't make you
Mm-mm.
buy new DLC. And
Yeah.
so Smash is Smash. Smash has its own place in the fighter sphere. So, you
Yeah,
know,
it is a fighting game, which I don't want to dive too much into that. But Smash is a fighting game. Some people don't classify it as a true fighting game because it's not like, your typical whatever. It is,
mhm.
it's different, but it's still a fighting game. But I guess I'm going to end that segment for our fighting game section. Some good discussions here. Um, so going to our last segment here, high score of the week. So I know it's been quite a few weeks since we did an episode. Um, what it, so I'll say what I've been playing this week, which I'm gonna give my high score to obviously is Persona 5 Royal. I'm finally almost done. It's been one of the most frustrating gaming experiences I've ever had in my life. Um, because that game is so weird. It's so long in the first place. I'm 90 hours in or about 95 hours in. I'm on the final boss. And like the regular content, then there's the royal content afterwards, which I'm not even going to try to play. But like if you play on the hardest difficulty, it's the easiest playthrough. And I've been playing on like normal, which has been difficult because the multiplier when you're fighting enemies, like your hits, it's not as strong unless you play on the hardest difficulty there is. So I'm on the final boss. I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna do it in safe mode, so I guaranteed to beat it, and I'm gonna be done with it. So if anyone out there wants to play a Persona game, don't start at Persona 5. Probably start at Persona 4, then Persona 3, and then if you wanna, hate yourself, then play Persona 5. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's just been a frustrating game, and I need to beat it. It's been on my backlog since 2022. And also, I've been playing Pokemon Pocopia, another game that I've been frustrated with because there's so much to do. I don't know what to do with myself. But that's my story right now. What do you have, Fredo? What do you got going on?
Well, to just two comments quickly. To if you have access to your ROMs, Personas 1 and 2 are also great games
Oh
too.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Well, I'm
so
never gonna play
uh,
that until they come out with
no,
something.
you probably
Yeah.
won't. But I mean, coming from someone who experienced those games, they were really good games. They're
Mm,
hard to go back to because they're not going to have the glitz and glamour as your Persona 5 now, but
yeah.
they are good games. And as far as the new Pokemon game, I mean, well, again, Pokemon has never been my target audience for me.
Hmm.
I read a lot about it, and it does seem interesting. Does it going to make
Yeah.
is I don't have a Switch 2. It's not going to make me buy a Switch 2. But if
Yeah.
I had one, I would tell you right now, I would buy it. So,
Hmm.
you know, if I had a Switch 2, I would have bought it, but not yet. But, I am actually interested in a lot of the mechanics that
Yeah.
that's in it, and kind of like giving like almost Animal Crossing elements too, which was really
Well,
cool.
it's even better.
Yeah, so again, for all those people that jumped into Animal Crossing during COVID times, I think this new Pokemon game is kind of right up your alley. So,
Hmm.
from a person who's not into Pokemon, I'm giving my endorsement to it. So, that's what I have to say about that. As far as games that I've been playing, Requiem, Resident Evil Requiem, fantastic game,
Yep.
fantastic. There are aspects of about it that I do critique. Um, I don't know if you really want to get into it for people that
Not
are
too much.
playing the game and spoilers,
No,
but
don't go too far.
but it is a really good game, and
It's
uh, I think that the DLC. I'm excited for the DLC. I'm excited for the fact that they announced remakes to RE1 and Code Veronica, which I will play the hell out of. I think they even said that they're going to do Resident Evil Zero too.
I
So
heard that. Yeah.
it,
Yep.
it, you
Yep.
know, Resident Evil, and because also before that, I also finished because with Resident Evil 9 coming out or Requiem coming out, I hadn't finished Resident Evil Village, and Resident Evil Village was fantastic too. As far as like Resident Evil games, and in this new trilogy that just passed, 7, 8, and 9, fantastic games. 5 and 6, I still played them. If you haven't played them, you're not missing much of what was going on. The original 1, 2, 3, 4, fantastic games too, but RE9, fantastic. I finished it total together, and at least and I'm a very careful player, so like
Hmm.
because it's true survival horror, so I'm like going around corners, like looking like this and like that, watching my every aspect because I'm waiting for that jump scare. For people who are uh understand like the first Resident Evil, when you get that first scare, the dogs jumping through the window, you're on edge every time now. So, that's how I played. So it took me me personally, it took about 18 hours to finish. So,
Oh, not bad.
those games are, at least Capcom started from the very beginning where they issued the challenge if you can finish the game under 3 hours, you got different things. This
Yep.
game also has, I don't know if it has extras, but there are
It does,
trophies
I
or
think.
achievements
Yeah.
for finishing it under 4 hours, which I do plan to do. There's another one for Resident Evil Village also that did because all of them do that.
Hmm.
But I probably won't replay Village, just because I think it's a little bit more of a drawn out process for what it was.
Isn't
But
that sorry?
hmm?
Isn't that 7? Is that
7 and 8
is that considered
Seven
7?
and eight follow. No, seven and well, no. The Resident Evil like Biohazard was
Oh,
7,
that's right. That's right.
and then Resident Evil Village was 8. But both 7 and 8 follow the same
Oh,
character,
that's right. Never mind.
Ethan Winters, which is more of a
Okay.
first person platform. But this one, it does have elements of the classic and the new first person, so that was exciting. You can play it actually in classic, full view, or like the original ones, so you don't have that first person view, or you can
Mm,
play it in a different option, so that gives players a different feel for it. Other games I've been playing, I went back to Destiny 2. I was playing Renegades, and if you
wow.
like Star Wars and lightsabers and so forth, it was a lot of fun. Is it worth the money? Questionable, but I found it fun. Reanimal, fantastic game by
Another.
the same producers of the Little Nightmares series. Fantastic game. and also John Carpenter's
Jack Hart.
Toxic Commandos.
Yeah.
For those people wanting that Left 4 Dead itch, Back 4 Blood tried to do it, but didn't really execute it as strongly as it was. $29 or $30 price tag, I
I'll have
found
to
it worth
check
it
that
for me.
out. That's actually one game I was interested in. I remember it got revealed. I forgot it already came out.
Mm-hmm.
It must have came out recently, no? Because it had to be. But I don't know.
Yeah,
That's one game I'll have to check
it
out.
came out. I think it came out Friday last week, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, no, and yeah. So those are my high marks right now. Oh, and I was speaking about fighting games. I've been playing Street Fighter again. So
Nice. I would love to hear it. But
mhm.
yeah, that's Persona 5 Royal. The next time I talk to everyone, I'll be done with that game and playing something else and hating my life. So with that, we're gonna end the show right there. Thank you all for watching or listening, whatever you prefer. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you guys next time. And also, thank you for Dylan for joining. See ya.